A landmark settlement was reached last Friday in a class action lawsuit against the NCAA. NBC6's Dan Jovic talked to a New Orleans sports attorney who shares how the settlement will change the landscape of college sports forever.
Obviously this is a huge landmark and a huge win for the players.
Sports attorney Fritz Metzinger has been following the case for years. He says as part of the settlement, former NCAA athletes from 2016 to 2024 who've opted into the class action will receive a pool of about $2.5 billion that will be paid out over 10 years from the NCAA and Division I schools. The settlement also establishes a revenue sharing model for all future athletes.
Up to $20.5 million in athletic department revenue directly with their athletes, and creating what is in effect what many people have called a salary cap for student athletes.
Schools can spend the $20.5 million how they like, which he says may be a concern for sports which don't generate revenue.
To pay student athletes that are in the bigger revenue generating sports, they're going to cut either entire programs or cut athletes from programs.
Metzinger says the direct payments to athletes will help rein in NIL money, which he says many legal observers have called disguised pay for play.
What has been happening is that boosters and collectives have been using NIL payments to, pay really, really big sums of money to get athletes to come to their schools, to transfer to their schools, and to perform at a high level.
As part of the settlement, a new body called the College Sports Commission will now oversee NIL deals.
They're going to determine whether the deal is with a booster or a collective, and if it is, they're going to try to see if it's for a valid business purpose, and is the athlete getting paid, an amount that you would expect based on the services.
What does a school like LSU do that's good at everything?
LSU is a fascinating case study right now because I think, and this is just according to other reporting, but I think LSU has indicated that they're going to follow what most schools are doing, which is 75% to football, 15% or so to men's basketball, 5% to women's basketball, and 5% or so to the remaining other sports.
And the change is happening fast. Starting July 1st, schools are required to report how the revenue is spent.
So yeah, this upcoming football season, we will be in a revenue sharing era.
Now, according to the settlement, the $20.5 million being shared with the athletes comes from media rights, corporate sponsorships, and ticket sales. Metzinger says he feels Congress will eventually have to establish laws governing the NCAA to avoid years of lawsuits.